And good afternoon, and welcome to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday afternoon. It is September 24th. Mercy, time is flying. I'm Ian Rollins, along with co-host Mr. Earl Basin and Don Bassett after a nice month's vacation. Is back in the hot seat. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
All is good?
What's happening?
What's happening? How was your weekend, sir?
Bit of a rough one.
You? Rough?
Yeah.
What, non-stop?
You can say that. You can say that.
From what time to what time? Saturday morning right up to Sunday evening?
Without incriminating myself, Friday.
Wow. Wow.
I was celebrating my birthday.
Oh, happy belated.
Thanks.
Happy birthday. Yeah, because your mom called me up.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah, she did. She called me up.
Yeah, it's been a rough weekend.
I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be all right then.
You be all right?
Yeah.
How did you celebrate it? It wasn't quiet because you lost your voice.
Yeah, it's been a long. Let's leave it like that. It's been a long weekend.
Okay. So you able to cover all your sporting events?
I'll leave that on it.
That need a whole. Happy belated, mate.
Thank you.
Good. So you're 25 now.
25. That's right.
Yeah. You're getting up there.
Well, yes. I'm getting more experience.
More experience.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything that happened big on the weekend from the sporting perspective on the local side?
Yeah, we had the men and women playing in the sevens over in Barbados.
Uh-huh.
And the men finished third. They in their third and fourth playoff match they defeated Mexico. And Mexico is considered a powerhouse in the region.
Yeah.
They managed to beat them. They lost to Jamaica in the semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica were the defending champions,
Okay.
and they ended up winning it. They will go on to the Pan American Games and then to the Hong Kong Sevens.
Wow.
So it's a big tournament. The last time Bermuda played in this particular tournament, they finished sixth.
So now they finished third.
Third, yeah.
So big improvement.
Big improvement. For the women, it wasn't that easy, but
Right.
it's difficult for them because, as we were talking with them last week,
Mm-hmm.
to go from what they play here, touch, to full contact, it's a lot different.
Night and day.
Yeah. So they're still learning it, and hopefully, in a few years' time, they could start making some inroads in getting some results.
Well, the first one, I think it's the contact, what they mentioned before last week.
Yeah.
That they have to change their philosophy here,
Mhm.
or the mandate here, and say we have to put in contact sport.
Right.
Because if they're going to go on the international level, it's not about touch.
Yeah, that's the only
So,
way. We're
yeah.
moving forward. That's what everyone's going to. It's full contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to the men for making strides.
Mm-hmm.
And again, congratulations to the women as they see that they need to put things in place in their mandate to
Sure.
improve on the international level.
Yeah.
So well done to both teams.
Yeah.
I guess the big story from the international perspective from the weekend is Tiger Woods winning his first big golf event in 5 years.
5 years.
Now they were talking from across the sector, is he the best athlete ever? And I say that's a good argument.
Mm-hmm.
Individual sport, that possibly could be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But overall sport, I still think that a team sport is better. A person like Michael Jordan, who had to guide 11 other athletes with him.
Mm-hmm.
A person like Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, for example, right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think those type of athletes stand out in my mind.
Right.
Individually, he may be the best ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's an argument that could be had.
Mhm.
It depends on what other arguments are put up against it.
Right.
I think one of the arguments that they will have in his favor is the longevity of how long he's been playing, how long he's been dominating. Even when he was out injured, people were always asking, when is he coming back?
Right.
Because they respect his game.
Right.
There were times yesterday where it could have all gone the wrong way because he was
True.
taking chances early in the
And he always does that,
early,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
'cause that's his style.
That's the style,
You know,
yeah.
so it worked out for him. I think now more people will be interested in golf again.
Yeah. Again.
And you will see sponsors coming on board now because 2019 will be that much more interesting from a standpoint of now he's won one.
And ironically, he won it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The Ryder Cup, next week?
Yeah.
So that's going to be something to talk about going forth for the Golf Channel, for the U.S. rider team, the European rider team.
And remember, he's still coming back from a back injury.
Yeah,
he has to. He still has to be very cautious on that.
4 surgeries.
Yeah. So, although he's swinging good and probably feeling good, he's still got to listen to the advice being given to him by his medical team. Because what you don't want to do is go into the Ryder Cup, put yourself under more stress.
Yeah.
And then your 2019 starts to look shady because you've put too much pressure on yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
To go into 2019 feeling good about yourself. So.
He's still got a lot of golf left.
Yeah.
He's only 42 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's got another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then you say, well, if he can last another 10 years, then maybe he may go down as the old time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think he's like, this was his 80th victory or 81st victory yesterday. And the most victories in golf, I think it's 82 or 83.
Something like that, yeah.
So he's just a couple of wins off the pace there. It'll be interesting, as you mentioned, how he will handle himself with the Ryder Cup. And then, as you know, that will be the downturn, the off-season, how he'll prepare himself with the big event getting underway in April of 2019, which is the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. So it's how he spends the off-season, how he prepares himself mentally, physically, which I'm sure he'll take care of himself. But could this be the start of a rebound point?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, for golf itself, it's a good thing because we've come to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that talk will go from now to the next, to the first game of next year.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Masters.
Yeah. So
you're right.
You know that everybody will be talking about a fantastic finish of 2018. Now the Ryder Cup, if the U.S. can win it.
Right. Oh, it's even more talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he plays a major part in it.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, because he could end up getting there. Because if I can recall, he hasn't had the best of Ryder Cups.
He hasn't, when he was in his prime.
Right.
He wasn't. He didn't shine on the big stage.
Right.
But in the most recent Ryder Cups, maybe the last 2, he rose to the occasion.
Yeah. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. Very much interesting. On the English side of football, Liverpool after 6 games on top of the league table.
What you saying? NBC's enough?
Did I say that?
I'm asking.
No, but it's a question you asked, and I'm putting the question back to you. Did I say it?
You were thinking it.
No.
It's written all over your face.
No, I said no.
We can ask everybody in the studio right
it's
now.
It's written on my face that 6 games have been played. We have 32 more games.
Yeah, 6 games been played. What he wants me to say is Liverpool's top of the table by themselves.
Yes.
In 32 more games, if we're still sitting in the same position, I'm wondering if the smile that's on his face will be a lot bigger.
Probably so. Probably so. I'm wearing my shirt today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about your Trojans?
Did they play this weekend?
No. They're playing Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, yeah. Wednesday night. So they're not doing too well.
No, maybe you need to send some of your Liverpoolians down to
I was thinking
help out.
Bring boots up.
Doesn't need a lot of help, man.
The Gola boots up. Remember the Gola boots?
Oh yeah, the Gola. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're funny. Well, joining us in the studio today is going to be our first guest, Mr. Scott Silverman. He's a fine gentleman. As you know, he's one of our sponsors for Inside Sports Talk Radio. And he's a gentleman that loves sports. And he has a son that supports Tottenham. We spoke to him last year in the studio, and he's going to join us at 12:30. And Scott is with us right now. But before we go and give his son a call to join us into this conversation, Scott, Mark Simons, Lauren, I forget Lauren's last name. Wilson. Lauren Wilson, excuse me, I'm going blank. Thank you. And Brenton Robbins and I are all going up Sunday or Friday to New York to watch the New York Giants play, to watch the NFL game. Good afternoon to you, Scott.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
I'm good. We're going to support his Giants. I'm not a Giant fan.
Why not?
Because I'm a 49er fan, which we lost yesterday. But we're going to see the New York Giants take on the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. It was a big win for you last week. Well, yesterday against
Houston, Texas.
In Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah. What do you think your Giants are going to do now?
Yeah, I know. I mean, they needed the win. They definitely needed some momentum, right? We couldn't be going to watch a game at 0-3. That would be pretty depressing, right? But they've got the win under their belt. Hopefully, some momentum.
Right.
They certainly played better than they did against Dallas.
Mhm.
And just you have to think positively,
Mhm.
right? It's a new coach, a new system,
Right.
a new offense, a new defense, and that takes some time to work through.
True.
Eli Manning looked sharper on his passes yesterday for sure. But he still got sacked 3 times, right? So that offensive line still needs to work on protecting the quarterback. I think it was J.J. Watt sacked him 3 times during the game.
Jeez.
The story with the Giants, for as long as I remember, is every time they have a lead, they just can't seem to put a team away. So they were up, I think it was 20-6
Right.
at halftime. And they came out the second half, and I think it was the first 3 possessions they went 3-and-out.
Oh wow.
So you have to be able to put a team away. If you're
Sure.
up 20-3 or 20-6, you got to come out and you got to score again, right? And they let Houston back in the game. Houston caught up. They were only 5 points down, and the Giants scored a touchdown with 2 minutes left to go, and they managed to win the game.
Good.
But again, there are definitely things to work on, but trying to stay positive. They did look good yesterday, and really looking forward to the game and to being with you guys and
Sure.
in New York next week.
Definitely. Before we go to commercial break, one thing that I read this morning about New York Giants, there was an offensive lineman that they dropped. I can't remember his name. He was, they think, one of the problems to your offensive line protecting your quarterback, and they didn't start him. He's in his last year of his contract, and they didn't start him yesterday. They brought in another guy from USC. They put him in his place, and they said, you know what, this is the way forward. So they're going to probably say this is his last year in New York. I cannot remember his name. I read it this morning.
Flowers, maybe?
Flowers, that's right. It was Flowers. That's exactly. That's it.
Yeah,
It's pretty much done.
he was struggling this year. He was absolutely struggling, and you saw it in the first couple of games. So those are tough moves. They like the guy a lot. They still think he's very talented, but you know what? Bottom line is you got to win.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And you got to have guys in there that are that are the best at their positions.
You got to fit the system.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
And if he wasn't doing it, then there's another guy sitting on the bench just itching to get in and do it. So it's
and they said credit went to your new coach because the guy Flowers has been there for the last 2 or 3 years, and they felt that management and the previous coach didn't take the initiative to say, you know what, mate, you're not ready yet. Put you on the side. Your new coach after 2 games, you know what? I'll bench you. And that's where the change came. And they replaced him with a guy from USC. He's like 6'7", 315. I'm like, yo, how you get past him, right?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Huge fellas.
So definitely things to look forward to next week's game. It should be exciting. New Orleans, Drew Brees, they are good. Scored, I think, 42 points yesterday in their win, and they've got a great offense, and the Giant defense is really going to have to step up and stop them.
Definitely. We're definitely going to talk more about that. We're going to take a commercial break, and during the commercial break, we'll get in contact with Scott's son and let him on the phone. We'll be back after this.
Radio, Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us on the phone now is Mr. Brian Silverman. Good afternoon to you, or good morning on your side of the world. Good afternoon to you in Bermuda. How are you doing, Brian? I am good. I'm good. I guess I can say, or should say, that you're breathing a little sigh of relief after a 2-0 victory this past weekend for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes, definitely a little bit of a sigh of relief after a rough 3 weeks leading up to this. So I thank you for your kind words.
Not a problem. But in all fairness, on paper, Tottenham started off their season well. I was predicting, because since you didn't pick up any players, that you would kind of fall back a bit by the second half of the season. But it started earlier than I anticipated, which I have no problems because you lost to Liverpool, so that's fine with me. But overall, though, Tottenham on paper is one of the strongest teams. But you think the World Cup has something to do with it regarding the fatigue coming in on the league season right now?
Yeah, I definitely think that the World Cup had a little bit of an impact on it. Again, our roster is still very strong, given that we hadn't picked up any players for the first time in history for the summer transfer window. As a fan, that was a little bit confusing and frustrating. I'm not going to lie. But I think our priority was to make sure that the stars that we currently have stayed. For foremost, Harry Kane. Obviously, he signed a £200,000 a week contract, an extension until I believe through 2022. But back to the World Cup, we had I think 8 or 9 players that were in the last 2 rounds of the World Cup. So yeah, there has been some fatigue issues. I think the last 3 weeks were tough and will definitely be a low point for us as far as the first half of the season goes. But moving forward, I think we're starting to get our legs under us a little bit. We showed some real promise yesterday in a very, very wet game, and definitely needed the second goal as a cushion. But it was definitely good to get 3 points again. The Liverpool game that you mentioned, not so great. It should have. I think we probably should have lost that game by 6 or 7 goals to 1. But I'll let you go back to speaking praises on how they've been doing.
My colleague Earl is laughing. I'm sure he's got something to say as well. But I'm going to be humble. I'm going to take one game at a time. Liverpool. I haven't won the league in 28 years, so I'm just as bad as Tottenham. Overall, though, it was a good victory for Tottenham yesterday, and this is like a step forward because it can turn your season around for the first half, what's remaining, because there's a number of games that are coming up, and this is where the injuries start to come in, and this is where your bench has to play a big role. I think what also, if I was a Tottenham fan, I'll be upset, not only not picking up players, but 1 minute your games were supposed to be at your new stadium, and then now, within the last month, your financier says, well, we're going to play at Wembley Stadium because the stadium's not going to be completed for the season. I think that was a downfall as well.
Yes, definitely. As a fan, that's been frustrating. I've been following online all the progress of the construction of the stadium, and the grounds themselves look phenomenal. It's just that something crazy happened with the emergency systems there, and obviously that's a priority for fans who are going to be attending those games. You need emergency services to work properly, but when the stadium was supposed to open in the middle of September, and then it was pushed and teased as the middle of October, and now we might not have it for another full season. It's definitely frustrating, not only to the fans, but I think to the players as well, as they were looking forward to getting back to the site of White Hart Lane to play in front of their fans.
And you're right, and it's been a new stadium, and you've been a part of the history saying, we opened up White Hart Lane in this new stadium. So mentally, that plays a part as well as an athlete. Just speaking with your father, who supports Tottenham as well when you're not around. When I saw him, today in the gym, I said, "Oh, Liverpool too." He says, "You don't have to tell me anymore." But no, he supports it, and he loves sports. And what I like about your dad is he's an all-rounder in sports. I'm just going to switch up a bit here with you, Brian. The Yankees. He's a big Bronx man, and that time of season, playoff season, is just upon us. What do you think your Yankees going to do, Scott?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ian. The second half of the season has really been a bit of a disappointment. Although they are going to be in the playoffs, right? They clinched that
That's right.
that wild card position, and now they're playing for the home field advantage for that one game elimination for the wild card, and I really hope that they could hold on. They've got a game and a half lead above the Oakland Athletics. One game series, you definitely want to be at home against your fans. But look, yesterday Oakland lost. It was a great opportunity for them to pick up another game on Oakland. And what do? They lose to the Baltimore Orioles, the worst team in baseball. So you just can't do that, right? You can't. So it's been a bit of a frustrating season for the Yankees. Look, I think they've got tremendous talent, certainly in hitting. I think that the pitching has been dicey. The starting pitching, again, the first half of the season, I think they looked terrific. Second half of the season, not so good. Same thing with the relief pitching. The relief pitching looked really good the first half of the season. Second half of the season, people like Betances, Robertson, Green, they're just giving up a lot of runs and they're blowing a lot of games. So
could it be confidence in that in the locker room?
Good question.
It could be. It could very well be. I think that maybe they do seem like they're playing with less confidence, and it also could be as a result of all the injuries that they've suffered. You've got a guy like Judge who's out for 6 weeks or so. That's a big loss, and Gregorius was out for a while. Sanchez was out for a while, so they may very well be feeling not as confident because they don't have their full strength, right? But look, they still, I think they have the opportunity to go far in the playoffs. Are they a World Series team? I don't know. I think there are better teams than they are right now. But they do have the opportunity if they can pull it together.
What was their record against Boston this year?
I think Boston's won more games, but not that many more. So they're pretty neck and neck with Boston.
What about head to head?
Yeah, head to head, they're about even. They're about even in games. Yeah, they lost a big series against Boston back in August, which really pushed them back.
Right.
But I think before then they had won like a 3-game series.
Yeah, they won the first series of
Boston.
the season. I remember that.
Yeah, and they just won 2 out of 3 from Boston. We're playing them again later this week. So I think they could play Boston well, actually.
Right.
I think, on any given day they could play any team, really, really well, and they've shown that.
So the playoffs is all about getting on a run. If you get that flow going, no matter what happens, you feel like, okay, we can get over the next hurdle and the next hurdle and the next hurdle. It's getting those small things right when you get to the playoffs.
Absolutely. It's the momentum, and as you said, Earl, it's the confidence, right? If they start playing with confidence, I think they're going to be tough to contend with.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, again, the starting pitching worries me. CC Sabathia, every time he goes on the mound, you just never know what you're going to get.
Never know.
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, Captain Crunch. But there's games where he's given up 8 runs in the first couple of innings. There's games where he's looked phenomenal through 6 innings. He's given up a couple of hits. So I hope we get the good CC in the playoffs.
Right.
And
well, the other thing is working that rotation, because for that one game, you want your best person to start it, but you have to work out the rotation that person gets there on the days. So you might have to change it 2 series before you get to that playoff game. So it's a lot of work goes into it, and people don't understand that don't know the game. It's almost like I'm a relief pitcher, but because of the rotation, I might start a game just so that person has X amount of days off.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's all management has to play it out. Players have to play it out. And just so for that one particular game to get past that one to get to a series, that a lot of things have to work out in your favor, kind of thing, and move things around. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's not that they haven't had a bad season. They've had a good season. They're well above 500. The problem is that Boston's had a phenomenal season, right? I mean, that team hasn't. They don't lose very much.
No.
They've won 107 games or so this year. It's it was tough, tough season, but we'll see. I'm going to stay optimistic and hope they go far. I really do. Again, hope they continue to play the remaining games this week. I mean, they've got tough games. They've got Tampa Bay for 3, then they've got Boston, and they want to stay ahead of Oakland to get that home field advantage in the wild card game.
Now, you said something earlier, and now I want to address it to your son. You said you honestly you don't know if they're a World Series team, right? So, Brian, is Tottenham Hotspurs Premier Division contenders?
I'll give them top four again. I think after a tough transfer window, top four is something good to aspire to. I think that it's going to be a little bit of versus a top four team in Manchester United and doing so poorly against a top four team in Liverpool. So with the Yankees, sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get until you're already in the throes of it. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not going to be overly confident at this point in the season. It's still early.
Well, I'll throw in this. Tottenham are probably in a good position, and I'll explain why I say that. When the January window opens, they have a 2-week break that they implement in the first time. So if they can get in a few players early, they have 2 weeks, a period to work with some new players, getting them into the system. So whereas everybody else's roster's kind of full, when I say full, they've spent their load, they've done and gotten in what they thought was going to be the now Tottenham can go and get some players who were fringe players but can actually help them. You agree?
And it's been frustrating for us in terms of transfers. There were rumors up to the last 5 minutes of the window closing over the summer. And I believe just this morning over in England, Jack Grealish, who was one of our targets, just signed a new 5-year deal with Aston Villa, essentially cementing that he does not want to be transferred to Tottenham. We had something similar happen with Wilfried Zaha for Crystal Palace. He expressed some interest, and then the number that we offered him, it wasn't enough. And I think his decision to stay at Crystal Palace for me as a fan was not only frustrating because we've been trying to acquire him for a number of years, but it was kind of that final nail in the coffin. Like, wow, we may actually not have anyone come and join us over the summer. But to your point, that our roster isn't as full and that we have room for improvement. I think that is an excellent point, and it's a perspective as a frustrated fan that I hadn't quite taken a look at. But that does give me a little bit more optimism coming from the last transfer window. Again, I just don't know about our ability to close deals with adding new players. But hopefully, Dan Levy and Mauricio Pochettino can see eye to eye this time around, and we'll be able to add some really good attacking power and some backups for some frustrated defenders that I know we have who are looking for transfers as well.
That's a good point. You're right. Let's take a commercial break. Hope you can stay with us, Brian, before we take one more commercial break and get back to you. Can wrap up with you, but let's take a commercial break and we'll be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Brian, as we were on commercial, we were just discussing the times of your playing time. You played in high school and did some in university. What position did you play in high school?
So in high school, I played soccer, I played basketball, and I played baseball. In soccer, I guess is my preference these days. I was a sweeper. I was the last defender on my team, so I was very aggressively slide tackling a lot of passes, which in high school isn't such a problem because you don't get fined. But it definitely, speaking of Premier League things, would not be such a great idea. In baseball, I was a second baseman, and I was also a pitcher. And then as a basketball player, I was a 3-point shooting guard. Given I'm only 5 feet 9 inches tall, so there wasn't much of a choice there on the basketball team. I couldn't exactly play down low under the basket, but we had plenty of support from my team in that area. So I was fortunate enough to be able to play all three.
Yeah. So as they say in the States, 3-sport athlete. Well done. Well done. So you take after your father there. You take after your father when it comes to athletics.
Yes, absolutely. He, I don't believe he ever played soccer.
No.
In fact, I've seen him try to play soccer, and he's definitely more suited to a basketball or a softball or a baseball. No offense, Dad. But yes, I definitely take after him in terms of my competitive nature and just athleticism in general.
Also, your dad was telling us during the break that you're in Washington, D.C., and I was telling him that NBC Sports Network, they go around different parts of the state each Saturday, and they're starting in Washington, D.C. to do a fan-based broadcast. Did you know anything about that on NBCSN?
Yes, absolutely. We've actually been looking forward to that. They're coming. It's going to be this Saturday morning. They're doing their Premier League mornings from downtown Washington, D.C. outside. Hopefully the rain holds off for them, but they're going to be having all types of activities for fans, and they're just really trying to bring an atmosphere of support for the Premier League in general. And I think it's great that they're making such a grand gesture to acknowledge the fan base in the United States, particularly in Washington, D.C. I see almost every weekend walking around somebody wearing either a Premier League jersey or a Bundesliga jersey or a French league jersey, and any one of them. And as a fan of the sport and as a fan of the league, it's been very refreshing to not be the only one anymore.
Understood. I'll tell you what. Since you're into that, I'll send you a jersey, maybe a Liverpool jersey. Is that okay? I don't know. If you've got one lying around, I'll gladly take it. I have a friend who's a Liverpool fan, and she could definitely use it. I understood. I see where you're putting this one.
I don't think I'll be hanging that one up.
All right.
Well, speaking of jerseys, Ian, you got to make me a promise when we go to the Giants game next week. You're not going to wear your 49.
No. He's
brave, but not that brave.
Not that brave. I went to a Monday Night Football game in Dallas many moons ago. Dallas and the Giants. I was the only Giants fan, right? I didn't have no Giants jersey on, but I supported the Giants. In this case here, I support the Giants. They're like New Orleans, nice down there, and down Mardi Gras and all that, but I have to support the Giants. No, I'm not going to go 49ers. I guarantee you that.
Very good. A couple of other folks are coming with us, as you said earlier,
right.
And one of the guys, Brenton, is a big Philadelphia Eagles.
He better not wear his Eagles. No. He wouldn't be allowed on the bus.
Blue wings.
Hebrew wings. Yeah,
they will have him.
Sure.
Man.
But this is exciting, Brian. Unfortunately, you're not going to be with us on Sunday. It's going to be kind of interesting to witness live action of seeing football in person. I haven't seen it in like probably 15 years, 16 years. And to be there with your father and other friends and the tailgating and so forth, it's going to be good. And you know CBS is bringing that game on?
Is that right?
That's right. I looked at the schedule. CBS Network is going to be carrying that game on. So who knows? They may see us on TV.
About that one.
Do not run across the field.
As Earl said, do not run across the field. You
Yeah.
never know.
Do not run across the field.
Well, if Brenton wears his Philadelphia Eagles,
He might be
jersey,
chased across the
we-
field.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be on TV.
I wouldn't be sitting next to him, that's for sure. I'll be sitting somewhere else over here, like, yep, no, I'm for the Giants. I'm for the Giants. When was the last time the Giants won the Super Bowl again?
It was about 10 years ago or so.
Right.
Maybe sooner than maybe about 8 years or so ago against the Patriots.
Right, that miracle catch, right?
Yeah, that was David Tyree.
David Tyree's
helmet-
catch, that's
helmet
right.
Catch.
When was the last time the 49ers won?
1996, 94?
That was the Joe Montana days.
Actually, no, it was Steve Young.
Steve Young.
Steve
okay.
Young. He won it. I can't remember who he won. I think he beat Cincinnati. I think it was Cincinnati.
The last one he beat the Bengals?
Yeah, I think it was the Bengals. And that was in New Orleans. But then we lost a couple of years ago in New Orleans again. I can't remember who we lost to. But, yeah.
And that was the Jerry Rice days too, right? It's going back to
The last Super Bowl, yes, that's when Jerry Rice was playing. The one that we
Was
lost,
it Tyrell Edmonds?
he was there. I don't recall. But we won our last Super Bowl, which was our fifth one. I don't think Terrell Owens was there.
No,
He
Jerry
came
Rice
on
was
after.
there.
Jerry was there. It was Jerry and John Taylor were the wide receivers, along with Roger Craig and things like that.
Yeah.
But no, Terrell came afterwards and made a name for himself in a weird way.
Yeah.
Great athlete, but just it was all about him. It's a team sport, mate. It's a team sport. Anywho. Well, any final comments from the Silverman? Start with you, Scott, before we wrap up.
No, thanks for having me. Always good to see Ian and talk sports. Which I enjoy it and
Love it. We love it.
Yep, and looking forward to our boondoggle coming up next weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll experience the the tailgating at a party before the game, and then the game itself, and in the beautiful MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Not a problem. We'll take care of that, mate. We'll take. Your father's good to us. He's very good to us. He takes care of us every year. Trust me, and every day. So he's a good man. We'll take care of him. We have some good times, and we'll take some photos. We'll send them off to you.
Wonderful.
Sure. Thank you for joining us, Brian. Enjoy your rest of your day and the rest of your week in Washington D.C. And hopefully we may see you on TV on Saturday on NBC Sports Network.
Yeah, you should definitely look out for it. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All
Not
right.
a problem.
Good luck to Tottenham in January.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break, and then when we wrap up, we're going to go to 1 o'clock news, and we'll come back after the news. So give us about another 10 minutes. We'll be back on the air.
Sports Talk Radio has been of the sports trivia has been brought to you by 4-Star Pizza, A.S. Cooper, and Son Limited, Port Nuts, Bermuda, and Sports Source.
And we thought we'd just put the trivia question out just before the news. So that question is, it's been repeated on numerous occasions, I think, for the last 3 weeks. I'm sure there's somebody who will get this answer. Right. So we'll just repeat that question. On January 31st, 1983, DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Name the Olympic award presented to him by IOC President Juan Antonio Samaranch. I'll read the question again. And plus, when you call us, give us the call after the news and we can give you that answer. On January 31st, 1983, DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Name the Olympic award presented to him by IOC President Juan Antonio Samaranch. Give us a call after the news, and the number again is 292-9595. News time. We'll be back after that.
The Electric Power 95. Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Basin.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. As we said just before the commercial break and news that we had the sports trivia question. I'll read that question out again and give us a call at 292-9595. On January 31st, 1983, DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Named the Olympic Award presented to him by IOC President then Juan Antonio Samaranch. Give us a call at 292-9595. Meanwhile, we're back to Inside Sports Talk Radio.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's on tap for the sports night on television? I mean, what you got on tap?
Obviously, again, with the men winning, we'll have a roundup of their results, their performances, as well as the women.
Mm-hmm.
We had some shocking results in football, with well, not surprising. Some would say shocking, but not surprising. BAA beating Boulevard Blazers in Premier 6-1.
I know.
Devonshire Cougars, Dandytown beating Crossroads.
Too much birthday. That 25, mate. That 25 is catching up.
You start losing your mind.
I see that. I see that.
Yeah, and of course, yesterday Crossroads beat North Village 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So the makeup game between PHC and Somerset was rescheduled for this Wednesday.
This Wednesday night.
BFA have their AGM on Thursday night.
Right.
Should be very interesting with the latest news of clubs receiving fines for not having licensed coaches. That's expected to be a hot topic. Obviously, every year youth is a hot topic, and just look forward to open, because the media is allowed into this yet again,
mm-hmm.
To witness, and I think it helps any argument that who makes the decisions when it comes to football, and the ultimate decision is always made by the club. So there's a lot of people that say the BFA, the BFA, the BFA. The clubs are the BFA. So, and they got a chance. People get a chance to see that the decisions are put on the table, the recommendations are put on the table. The clubs either say yay or nay, and you move forward. So there's a lot of people always behind the scenes, have a lot to say, and get a lot of time to say what they want to say. But when it comes to sitting in on meetings, making decisions, and so forth, they're very quiet when it comes to that.
Totally different story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of things are going to be on tap in football for the next, I guess, say 2 months.
Yeah.
International matches be coming up.
I guess that will become more clearer at that meeting. What's the requirement? Because we're hosting the next two.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the schedule will be adjusted to make sure that we have those matches available. Also, the under-20 boys will be heading off to play in the CONCACAF Championships. And that, I believe, if they make it through to the finals, it's a 3-week process. So that some teams will be out without players for close to, well, the first step is the group stages, which will be a week long, and then you go from there to another stage, and then the final. So, there's a possibility some teams will have to do without. There's big decisions because some of the players that's going to be utilized are also in school, and that's a lot of time out of school when you've been drafted into a system, a college system that they're kind of helping to pay and educate you.
Well, yeah, so, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So it goes back to what you're saying with the international matches and going to the senior level. Now, the ones that are going to be happening or participating here in Bermuda, hosting here in Bermuda, I should say, October and November, that's going to be a challenge for the players if they are selected from school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's our problem right now, because we play a game on, I believe, October 9th, if I'm not mistaken. October
9th? I thought it was the 5th.
The 5th? The Friday night.
That's next week.
Yeah. And I believe there is a game the same day. Or November. No, I'm sorry, November. Whatever date, one of those 2 days, 2 dates, the under-20s play at the same time. They're in the tournament at the same time. So it's going to be interesting because I know the national coach is going to want to have some of those under-20s at his service. But when you're talking about the under-20 championships, I don't know how we dice this up, but it is what it is. It's an opportunity. Those fringe players might have an opportunity to get a chance to play in the national program. So,
well, yeah, but if the game is October 5th and today is the 24th, I ain't heard anything.
Maybe is it the 25th?
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, right? And I stand to be correct. It could be the 12th. It could be the 19th. But I just recall it being on a Friday night.
It's a Friday night, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Get clarification on that, the exact dates.
Right. Well, let's have a look, see if we can find it at some point, and look to see. Yeah, because I know it's October, and I know it's November that we will be hosting games. So, but yeah, international time, and we look at what's out there. We have players playing all over Europe. Nikki Wells finally with QPR finally lost a match.
Cool.
So you have Dante Levrock playing in Estonia.
That's correct.
Willie Clemens in Sweden.
Okay.
So hey, it's a lot going on, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Okay, we've got a call on the line for the sports trivia question. Shut up. Okay, it was Wild Child. Wild Child. It's going wild again, huh?
Yet again.
Yet again. I don't know what I'm going to do with you, girl. I really don't. What am I going to do with her?
She keeps winning.
Yeah.
I won her lot.
Ah. Does she get on Vegas much?
I don't know.
May have to get on there. See what happens.
Yeah.
See what happens, yeah. See what we can work on it.
Yeah, I play the bingo table.
Yeah. Congratulations to you, Wild Child. No, congratulations, well deserved. Yes, and that answer is for that question. Again, the question was on January 31st, 1983. DJ Williams received one of the highest honors of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, for his contributions to the Olympic movement. Name the Olympic award presented to him by IOC President Juan Antonio Samaranch, and that is Bronze Olympic Order. And that was done by Juan Antonio Samaranch back in 1983. He was then president of the IOC, Juan Antonio Samaranch. Congratulations to Wild Child, and of course to the late DJ Williams on receiving an award, the highest honor in the International Olympic Committee. That's pretty remarkable, coming from a little country like Bermuda, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them, recognizing that. Still in sports on the local front, it's been an exciting year. Right?
Yeah.
From the local perspective, it's been really exciting, to be honest, in the last 2 years. And I say that from internationally, from the America's Cup to Florida Duffy, and obviously looking at the Florida Duffy next year and things from the local perspective, or the Cup match, big events that are definitely on the horizon and are making strides in Bermuda that we dream of seeing. One day Bermuda could host this event, host that event, and it seems that it's making its way to our landmark.
Right. It's exciting times.
Yeah.
Really exciting. So we'll see how things materialize going forward. There's a hockey tournament starting tomorrow. You have countries, several countries on island. We could see them traveling around today. So we're looking forward to a week long of actually until Friday, I believe it is, or Saturday finals. Bowl hockey at the PCC hockey rink, and also they're using an area in Dockyard for a few matches of kind of overflow of matches. So looking forward to it. Should be very interesting.
Just got confirmation on the international match. It's not October 5th, it's October 12th.
12th, okay.
Yeah, so like I said, I wasn't sure it was the 5th or the 12th, but it is the 12th. So that's good news, and hopefully we will have a representative joining us next week Inside Sport to discuss more and possibly know more about the ticket sales, the pricing, and that sort. So that's good news, and that's on the 12th of October. Who will we playing in the first round in that game? I forget. We had it earlier.
Yeah, I know.
We had it earlier, right?
I know.
Maybe earlier, a couple of shows previously.
Yeah.
And I know I'm just talking regarding the information off the top of my head.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it'll be good to have representatives join us and discuss more on
St. Martin.
St. Martin. Right. That's on the 12th of October.
And then on the 16th of November, we play El Salvador.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. So 7:30 on the 12th and 8 o'clock on the 16th.
So that's on the Friday night, October
Mhm.
12th.
Mhm.
And then the 16th. Oh, they're both Friday nights.
Friday night, yeah.
That's interesting.
Mhm. So if you look at our past records of some matches, in 2017 we played Canada, lost 4-2. We beat Grenada 2-1, and then we lost to Barbados 3-2. And then this year we have lost 3-2 to Antigua, drew 0-0 with Barbados, and lost 3-1 to Aruba. So we should see the increase of matches with the Nations Cup coming on board. We will see an increase of matches because years going by, we've just always played matches leading up to the World Cup to try and get some time in before the World Cup. But this particular tournament kind of helps take some of that strain off because it's also helped funded by FIFA and CONCACAF. So good thing. So we should see some improvement and the opportunity for Bermudians to see more of our overseas talent back on the island.
Right.
I know there's been a lot of times where we've had maybe 1 or 2 players playing professionally. Now we've got 6 or 7. So,
Made strides.
Yeah.
Made huge
I know
strides.
there's a lot of people that make a lot of comments after the loss to Aruba. And, hopefully those people that have the negative comments come out to support them and they can change some of the fortunes that the players have, because everybody knows you always know when you're not having your best performance. You don't need to hear it from somebody else. If you're honest with yourself, you say, well, I just didn't have it today. I didn't have it and I couldn't inspire my teammates. And you put your hand up and say, next time I'll try to be better. So in my view, I'm just hoping that the players put themselves in a position to give a good account of themselves come the 12th and want to inspire others to rally around Bermuda. So I know Bermudians love to be very critical. It's part of been our upbringing and what we've read throughout our lives. Always negative about ourselves, but positive about anybody else. So hopefully we can change that. We can change that mindset, change that whole atmosphere, that vibe. So if the likes possibly included in the team will be Nikki Bells. You have John Tay Smith, who scored the goal for Bermuda. You have Zico Lewis. You have Dante Lavrock.
The talent is there.
It is there.
Right? The talent is there. It's just gelling
it
together
and
putting it together. And the point is, as they say in the professional world, they don't have enough time to work together.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a challenge for us regarding that matter. But the talent is there, so just put it together, put the nucleus together, and hopefully come out on top. And you're right, we're very critical of our athletes, right? So much so, guys, give them a break.
Yeah.
They're putting their best foot forward. They don't have this as a full-time basis. This is a part-time basis.
Yeah.
They got to go to work. They got to go to school, get the kids off to school, get themselves in their professional mind of wherever they're working and so forth. And then after work, go train. Put in your time there, and then go back home. And if you have children, deal with that matter. Homework, responsibilities around the house. So as amateurs, much credit must be given to our athletes in that matter. It's not an easy task.
No.
We want to be the best, but you also got to put in the time. And then it's a cost factor putting in all this time. What comes with it?
But we have to be realistically honest with ourselves. What are we trying to achieve? And as a country, we have to collectively say, what are we trying to achieve? And make sure that goal that we're trying to achieve is reachable and obtainable, not some far-fetched out there thought that, we can beat Brazil. or that type. But we have to set ourselves a target and a goal on where do we want to be. And I think the first thing that we should be, especially in senior football, is trying to get into the top 5 of CONCACAF, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, or at least the top 10, then you maintain that position for a while, and then you build on that. But you have to be honest with ourselves and say, if that's our goal, how are we going to obtain that? How are we going to get to it? We have to make sure that every player that's in our grasp is able to play when we need them to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we look in that regard to ensure that we have those people available. The opportunities are presented to those people that are knocking on the door. So it's having that conversation. And I think a good conversation to start with would be with the clubs and the association, because basically the clubs are the association.
Yeah.
They harness and nurture these young men and young ladies early in their careers to get them to, if they're drafted, if they're picked up by a school and they're drafted into the professional ranks after that, they got their start at a club, and the club should be able to have a say, and have a talk with the association and say, okay, what do we want to achieve? Where do we want to go? Let's all go together, kind of hold hands. Let's come up with a plan. So no matter who's in charge of the association, no matter who's in charge of the club, the plan stays in place.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
It's not an individual thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It stays in place collectively for everyone.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
We just work together to make sure that we stay on. No, I'm not saying that you can deviate a little bit, but the ultimate goal is to reach the plan, the accomplishment of the plan. So if you go off a little to the left or a little to the right, but as long as you stay on target, hey.
Why is it then, and it goes to what you're saying, the plan, why is it that in Bermuda we are so critical of our athletes from whatever sport representing Bermuda? Knowing that our population is this big, knowing that the infrastructure is this big, knowing that our programs only sustain the amateur level, and we're competing against the best in the world.
We've been taught that by our reading, growing up. You realize there are some sports that if they lose, do not get reported, or we're not getting reported.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. I was shocked. Shocked. And that's what, because of embarrassment or just?
Well, they just don't want, certain sports don't want people to know that they lost.
But how are you getting better yourself? You tell people the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And those that are less fortunate of winning can turn that program around by informing people what's happening.
Yeah. I draw a reference to you. Almost a month ago, the rugby team, the sevens team, went to a tournament and was hammered. Didn't read anything about it, but guaranteed they came third in this.
You hear about it?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not picking on rugby itself. I'm picking on the process in which you see how certain things get done and certain things don't get done.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? So it's I just find it very interesting. And being in the field, I see it more and more. So I can point it out. Whereas if you just picked up the paper every day and read, you wouldn't know the difference because it's not there.
No.
You know what I mean? So those are the type of things, and you say that weren't happening while we were coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
interesting.
Yeah.
Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be back after this.
Video has been Back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio with Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Just again, congratulate the winner for the sports trivia question this week. And the answer is the bronze Olympic order presented to DJ Williams by then President Juan Antonio Samara back in 1983. And Wild Goo Goo Child. Wild Goo Goo Child, that's her name. Still, we're going to just move over to the back to golf regarding Tiger, right?
Mm-hmm.
You made a good point, and I should have followed up with it earlier. Was he won his first victory in 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's had 4 back surgeries during that time. He's been through a lot,
Right.
so forth. Remember, he was up for a DUI, but came out to be the medication
Right,
that he was
right.
on, and so forth. Been through a divorce and things of that sort. He's 42 years old.
Mm-hmm.
In golf, you can play to like competitively probably 50, 60 years old, right?
Right.
Just say he does well in the Riders Cup,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you say carries that momentum over to the
20
Masters
right.
2019, all of 2019,
Right.
right? And he excels, goes into a thriving season of 2019. You mentioned that sponsorships will come on board,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see who are those new sponsors, or even the old ones,
Mm-hmm.
and how much of a value he will rise.
Oh yeah.
How much he will
I mean,
rise.
people want to be around a winner.
Mhm.
He's a proven winner.
Mhm.
Now that he's won, take it in his strides,
Mhm.
but guaranteed some of those sponsors who left probably knocking on the door to get back.
The big ones that all major golf tournaments are huge, but
Mhm.
the Masters,
Mm-hmm.
the one in England, what's it called?
British
The
Open,
British Open, and then there was
U.S. Open,
US Open.
and what's the fourth
there's
one?
one more. I can't remember offhand,
Mhm.
but it would be interesting to see each network because CBS carries the Masters, the British Open I think is carried on ABC,
Mhm.
NBC carries I think the U.S. Open,
Mhm.
and I think Fox or somebody else has the fourth one.
Right.
We'll see the ratings of
Oh,
2019.
definitely.
Who aspired to be the
I
highest?
guarantee you now the commercials for the first one, when they go on offer,
Mm.
will be skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You want a commercial in this game, because he has won now, you want a commercial in this game, it's going to cost you this much.
And then it's a good point you're just saying because not only will the sponsorship rise,
Mhm.
but the event itself.
Mhm.
Let's use the Masters
Yeah.
again through Augustus, right?
Mhm.
Let's just say a hamburger is $10.
Oh, yeah.
At the hamburger's gonna be about $15, right? That
Because
steak
the value of the
him,
event,
yeah.
the value of the event, and if he comes in hot, more people just flock to it. So,
It also helps Nike,
oh yeah.
right? Because he's sponsored by Nike,
Mm-hmm.
and also you'll see how many young kids flock right,
Mhm. To go.
to golf
Mhm.
at the academies,
Mhm.
right, and work their way up. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what happens, right?
Yeah, so true. I mean, it's good for the game because golf needs a superstar.
Yeah.
Every sport professionally needs a superstar that kind of
Can carry that momentum.
right of a nation, and he's one that has been able to do that. Even when he was out, he was able to do that. Everybody wanted to talk to him. Everybody couldn't wait for him to come back. He came back too soon, messed up his back again, just hitting out of sand trap, I believe. So those type of things were setbacks. But no, you look at it, he's settled back in. He's kind of put himself back in a position to be the dominant player he is. And those around him constantly fear. Because you look up at the scoreboard and you see Woods up top, saying, okay, no, I have to play for second. Because naturally, that's what you do. You kind of say, okay, the only way I'll win this is if he loses it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, he came out in his red shirt.
Yeah.
When he's leading,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last day, he always comes on his red shirt.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, I'm going to blow you away.
Yeah.
Right? My question is this. Why is it that We know he's such a dominant athlete, individually, especially in the sport of golf. Why did those people behind the scenes start to redesign? I shouldn't say we know why why they
The golf
redesigned the course. We know
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it didn't help.
No, it
Right?
actually,
It hurt them.
Yeah, it hurt. Well, it hurt them to the point where everything bottled at the same time. They redesigned golf courses, right, to kind of make them what they call tiger-proof, to allow other people to have a chance.
Right.
But then he got injured at the same time. Had the issue and then got injured.
Right.
So that they haven't had. I mean, for the sport, when you have multiple people winning things, that's good. So they say it's the sport, but the sport also needs that mega person that's going to draw people out. So they look to redesign those courses, and if you look at it, the long hitters were winning the long hitting ones,
Right.
and the short hitters were winning the short course ones.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now that Tiger's back, he can master both. He's not going to try and power the way he was 10 years ago.
Nah,
he's going to play. He's going to attack each golf course.
Yeah.
And each hole, but he does it in a more educated and smart way nowadays. So, yeah.
That's amazing, man, what he's done. Right? I just looked at this morning, like the various networks, North American networks, from Canada to the Canadian sports channels to the North American and the United States, and everyone was leading with Tiger.
Yeah.
Tiger. Tiger. And then I went to European the websites. Tiger.
Because he's made the sport that much more interesting, even in Europe. You know what I mean? The focal point of what he was able to do as a young man, I think winning the Masters by, what was it, 18 strokes?
I can't remember.
It was more than double digits. It was a high number of double digits. Kind of elevated him to a whole new level of what he was able to do with the golf course, and it left a lot of people and I believe he was 20 at the time. But you know, when you have such a dominant performance, and it's not a one-hit wonder, because you have those people in sports that have that one hit that win. We'll use the young lady that beat Serena the other day.
The tennis player. Yeah.
She was out in the other day.
Yeah. Knocked out.
You know, so but she said she's tired, she's fatigued, because obviously if you win a major event, comes endorsements, comes commercials, comes everybody TV. You know, you don't have the time to train, you don't have the time to rest, and she's just looking forward to having 2 weeks off, not doing anything, just to get her body back into some sort of shape to be able to play again. You know, but I would like to see her continue on. I would like to see, you know, a lot of the young ladies that are coming up through tennis be more consistent, because that's what that women's tennis needs. Because I think it's only a matter of time before the baton from Serena is handed to someone else. Maybe another 3-4 years, but somebody's got to step up early. You know what I mean? To say, okay, whenever you're ready to go off the stage, I'm here, kind of thing. You know, but right now, there's very little consistency of winning in the ladies' side of tennis. In the men's side of tennis, if Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic is playing, 9 times out of 10, you say, okay, well, if they're in separate, they're going to be in the final.
One of those three.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, and you're right. There is a gap in the women's tennis. Sloane Stephens won the U.S. Open last year.
Yep.
She was knocked out this year in the semifinals. The year before was someone else who won the women's. There hasn't been a consistency across the board with the women.
Right.
Serena, yes, by herself. Her name, yes. Yeah, she's been to the finals. Her last finals, 6 of them, she's lost 4. Now that obviously comes with age and things of that sort, and just having a baby and so forth. But the fact that she's the only consistent female that has carried the torch for this period of time.
I'm trying to think. I was just sitting here thinking, had Sloane won a tournament since that U.S. Open?
A major tournament or just a tournament?
Just a tournament.
I think she has won a tournament. I stand to be corrected, but I thought she was an up and coming when she was making her way to this year's defending title of the U.S. Open. And that's like, oh, in the semifinals, okay, maybe you can make it to the finals.
Right.
Unfortunately, she got knocked out. But you have to see what the future holds for her for the next 18 months.
And to answer your question from last week,
which one was that?
The umpire that got off the chair.
Oh yeah.
He got a 2-match suspension.
He did.
Yes.
So this gentleman that was the center of attention regarding the Serena Williams.
Not him. The other guy who got off the chair to talk to the player that was.
Oh yeah.
He got a 2-match suspension. So his next 2 games that he was supposed to do, he will not do.
Oh.
Yeah.
But everyone thought he did that in good jest.
You're not supposed to do that. It was coaching. As David Lambert said, that was a part of coaching. And you are not allowed to do that.
Right.
Yeah. You're the umpire. You sit in the chair and you say, hey, either come and play or you lose a point. But he got off the chair. He walked over to him. He says, he gave him some words of encouragement. The guy comes back and wins the match.
So that's coaching.
Yeah.
That's coaching. Yeah, and then the association.
Because remember when they were here last week, David said, they're meeting with him today.
That's right.
And it came out that afternoon that he was getting that 2 game suspension.
Let me ask you this. Had the Serena incident not flared up as much or flared up at all,
nothing would have happened to him.
Nothing would have happened to him. I mean, to his umpire.
Yeah.
They'd have just said,
don't do it again.
Gesture, don't do it again.
Yeah.
But they got to make an example.
Yep.
Was what happened.
Yep.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
They
had to because obviously now everybody's looking because the umpire that gave away the point or to drop the point from Serena said it was a form of coaching. So instantly everybody turns around and says, well, hold on. That's what the umpire done.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he done, but he done it in front of everyone. Where you're saying her coach, but she said she wasn't looking at him. So yeah, they literally, but had that not taken place, he would have got a behind closed doors slap on the wrist. Good thing you done to encourage the player to play, but don't do that again. So yeah, it's funny how one incident creates another problem for someone else. So.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
Oh yeah.
You're right.
But what it does now, it basically brings everybody's attention to umpires. You know what I mean? Because generally what happens is in between sets, everybody gets up or you go to the bathroom or you go to the canteen or whatever, and then you wait when that match is over, you come back in. You move around a lot. Now the center of attention goes to what is the umpire looking at?
Yeah.
What is he, and then you trying to, especially if you're facing him, you're trying to identify who's where's that coach's box? Is he looking to, you know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, all of that comes into play. So and my thing is, okay, if I'm sitting in a chair, because I try to envision this. I'm sitting in a chair and I'm looking down at 2 people, right? And then I'm looking up at 2 people, coaches' boxes. Is me clapping my hands, telling her to get closer, or am I cheering? If I'm saying, "Come on, let's do this," does that mean that I'm telling her to back up, or I'm telling her to get? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
What am I? As a coach, how do I encourage my player to play?
Yeah. Without this.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. That's the challenge there.
Yeah.
So it'd be again interesting to see.
And I mean, Mike Wolf was saying that come the next meeting, a lot of that's going to be on the table because what's the sense of having a coach there if he's not going to be allowed to?
But in all fairness, both to Mike and David Lambert, they both outlined that each tournament has its own rules, and that's a problem.
Yeah,
right.
Because you can play on a tournament this week with these rules, go to another tournament next week, and you're playing under a different set of rules.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So you could go to the U.S. Open, and prior to that, you can come out from the Wimbledon, do one thing in the Wimbledon, but can't do in the U.S. or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that comes down to because there's no clear-cut rules across the board on major events. It's held within the country. That's what I'm understanding. This.
Yeah.
The country, or the host, Set their own
set their own rules. Well, just on another subject that has been blown out of the water was the decision by WADA to reinstate Russia.
Whoa! What was up with that?
And that has not gone over well
with anyone.
You've now had the U.S. threatening to pull out of WADA sanctions.
Well, because the U.S. funds majority of the water, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you blame them?
Yeah,
No,
not
because
at
they're
all.
sending a bad message.
Yeah.
So what's behind the scenes for? What is behind the scenes for WADA to take that action to lift that ban?
Even the vice president, she came out and said, "I can't vote for this. I can't vote for this." So it was a vote of 7-2. 9-2. Two members were not present at the meeting, so to get them back in, and I'm like, wow. This is crazy to think that you had evidence of the yin yang to tell you that Russia has been cheating, state-sponsored cheating. You've cracked the seal on it. You done, and in 3 years they're back.
So less than 3 years, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
It was 3 years.
2015. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So as an athlete, what sort of message are you sending to the regular, majority of athletes around the world?
That's what she said. She said, today we cheated. We let the cheaters win because we didn't protect the clean athletes.
I might as well go and cheat. Yeah, try something that might happen.
See what happens. It is. But to be honest, I felt it was a bit different to allow some of Russia's athletes to compete under the IOC flag. And I say that because I say this. If it's state-sponsored, that means you are representing, no matter how you look at it, you are representing a country that is banned.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, in order for it to work, everybody from the country should be banned.
In order for it to work.
In order for the statement to be made, in order for the, the repercussions to be felt, everyone has to suffer. Unfortunately, everyone. But then you had athletes writing in saying, well, I've never done this. You've never caught me doing this. And you're saying, okay, we'll let you in.
Sounds to be a mess.
But because I haven't caught you doesn't necessarily mean if you don't, you know what I mean? You come from a place that supports that does it. We've caught you doing it. So you could be one that's just flying under the radar. But okay, you could compete under because what happens when that athlete who you've allowed to operate under the IOC flag then does test positive for something?
What happens to something like this? If you look at it now, with Russia, the ban being lifted for Russia, right? It's just so ironic that they hosted the World Cup 3 months ago.
Yep.
Right, June, July, 2 months ago, and 2 months later, you're now going to lift the sanctions on them regarding the Olympics.
I think
something sounds
because what had to happen for the FIFA World Cup, what people didn't realize is that all their doping, because they do it as well, they have to test as well. That had to be sent out of Russia in order for it to be, and they set up a lab, like I think in another country, that they had to send the stuff to in order for it to be tested and then send it back. That's a cost, you know what I mean? Because you can't use any officials in Russia. So it's a cost factor. I think before FIFA announced Russia, that wasn't an issue. They hadn't found all that stuff because they do it 8 years in advance. Right. So now you find out 3 years before the World Cup that, okay, this is a problem we never thought of. Because they were just going to use the labs in Russia.
Right.
But when the entire country's banned from it, so and I still say, I don't care if there's hosting it, they shouldn't have been in it. If it's state sponsored, meaning global across the board, all the sports should have to suffer. Because as a country, you have to feel it. You have to, you know what I mean? Yeah. You're getting away with it. You're just banning track and field people. But you're not banning Russia football. You're not banning Russia. Who's to say they're not doing it? You know what I mean? because they were finding, their doctors finding ways to get around this stuff.
Sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sad, man. Sad.
So
And Russia is no secret to cheating in sports. And this
doing all
dates
this-
back to the
Thank you.
50s and 60s,
Thank you.
right?
And it's not just track and field; it's
No.
all the sports.
From hockey,
Yeah.
their big sport was
Yeah,
hockey,
yeah.
right? But sports they were cheating in that.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And WADA, who's supposed to be this great organization down the middle, like,
Mhm.
no, they're gonna abide by the rules, we're gonna comply with this. This is
Mhm.
what's been mandated. They're gonna lift it.
They lost a lot of credibility, and all
What
weekend
drug you
athletes,
taking?
all athletes have been going on Twitter, Facebook. It has been, oh man, clean athletes have been chiming in. Administrations have been chiming in. This is going to be one ugly finish. Yeah.
Bad message.
Yeah.
Let's take our last commercial break for the day, and we'll wrap up on Inside Sports Talk Radio after this.
Sports Talk Radio. Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Rollins and co-host Earl Baston.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. We're coming up to 2 o'clock. It's been a good weekend of sports locally and abroad. We've had quite a few things going on. But Ian, we finish up with talking about this decision by WADA to reinstate Russia. I'm pretty sure come next week, it'll be more talk about it.
Oh, definitely. And it's going to be talk for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
It sends a bad message.
Yeah.
It sends a very bad message. And especially for a young kid, or an athlete, I should say, growing up,
Mhm.
especially like, around 10, 11 years old. Oh, they did that. They managed. Let me try something so I can
Mhm.
increase my speed or my strength or my
Mhm.
agility, whatever the case may be, what
Mhm.
sport they're participating in. Oh, they'll lift it up Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's almost a slap in the face because you turn around and you say, okay, their punishment was some of their athletes that competed in the Olympics were competing under a separate flag, but they were still allowed to compete.
Sad, man.
Whilst the country itself goes on as normal. It can't be. Man.
Sends a bad
can't be.
message.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to thank our good friend Scott Silverman.
Oh yes,
And his
yes.
son Brian Silverman. Brian is in Washington D.C. He's a big Tottenham Spurs fan.
Mm-hmm.
He chimed in and gave his insight on what he thinks of Tottenham this year and aspirations. And They stopped that slide, the 3-game slide, as they say in North America. And Scott sharing his information on the New York Giants.
Yes,
That's what they're going to do this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a bunch of us going to go up to see that game.
Right.
And we will support the Giants.
You don't have to support them. You just have to sit there quietly.
No, I'll support them.
Mm.
I'm in New York. New Jersey
Okay.
games in MetLife. I'll support them and be a part of the Giants history making and see what it's all about.
It's right next to the where the U.S. Open is held.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's
yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that would be interesting, and then I wish the Giants all the best.
No, you don't, because they're not in your division.
They're NFC East, I'm NFC West.
Right.
In the same division, but in the different standings of East West.
Right.
So that's
So what are your 49ers?
1 and 2. Yeah, 1 and 2.
Okay.
I think I lost my quarterback for the season with the ACL.
Oh,
Yesterday.
yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So the fun time starts now because you got your backup, who has a backup. Now a job offer goes out to somebody else.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. So,
That's why they say if you're in their what they call it, 'cause they have another league that guys play in if they're not in the regular league.
oh, yeah.
So always be ready. Always be ready.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the Arena League, but there's another league that
Yeah.
they play, right?
It's almost like a conference underneath the.
Yeah. So, I will see.
All right.
Keep up the good work, and we'll be tuning into you every night.
Okay.
All right. Don Bassett, welcome back, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir. See you next time.
Next time. All right, now.
Radio.